Hello everyone and welcome back to part 3. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for following my journey and I appreciate all the comments I've received thus far. All right, so just let me jump into where I left off. I want to talk to you all about the treatment that I started. But before I want to tell you about my cycle of treatments that I received, the oncology office that I go to, they make sure if you're a brand new patient that you go to a mandatory chemo class, and that's where you learn what type of treatment you're going to receive, any possible side effects that you may have, the type of eating you may or not be able to do, you know, if you're still able to eat regular meals, or if they want you to take any supplements, and what to avoid as far as different foods go, and actually what to avoid as far as holistic medicines go. I was advised not to take any holistic medicines because it wasn't proven to necessarily treat any type of cancer or help it along the way, but that's what I heard at my office. Now, if you heard something different, that's you. Follow your own plan and your own guideline. But I want to also say that my IV and chemo, I began with the gem, the cis, and the Abraxane combination. And that combination took me from, let's say, June 2021, because remember I was diagnosed May 2021. So it took me from June 2021 through December of 2021. And my treatment started with the steroids. They gave me the steroids first, followed by the gem, cis, and Abraxane. And that took 4.5 hours from start to finish. And of course I was nervous about it. I just have found out for my own self that I have become nervous with anxiety about this. I mean, having cancer and having to go through treatments because you don't know what to expect, and because you hear all these horror stories, at least I have, you know, about what chemo can or can't do for you or to you or with you or someone, something like that. It was just a whole ball of nerves, like, you know, what's going to happen to me? How is my journey going to go? For my very first treatment, they normally take the newer, more anxious patients, because as I mentioned, that was me in the beginning, to a certain area. It's more like a calming area. They have, you know, palm trees and, well, indoor palm trees and nicer, I don't know, water fountains and stuff like that. Just like a zen place to calm you down, okay? But also back there was about 4 ladies, and out the ladies, so I made 5, 3 out of the 5 ladies were ladies who were already in treatment. And, you know, I got there and I was nervous, like I mentioned. And of course, for me, you've seen my videos previously, you know, I'm anxious and I'm tearing up because I'm like, now it's finally real. I'm having chemo, not hearing the cancer was real, but having the actual chemo treatments, that made it real, because again, you don't know what to expect. But when I got back there, those ladies were talking to me. They were trying to calm me down, and it actually worked. And I learned something. I learned that 3 of those ladies were already starting to hit the remission kind of thing, and 2 of them were already or going to be NED, or no evidence of disease, and this was their last treatment. And there was this one lady there. She would look like she was in my age group and African American as well. And she was just like, you know, let me give me some chips, let me give me an apple juice, you know, like she's clearly have done this before. She was real comfortable. And then she just started just talking to me and like, oh, what's your first treatment, girl? And this and that. And she was telling me not her life story, but just the dynamics of how she became on her journey, which she has breast cancer. She said, you're in good hands. I learned that we had the same doctor. She told me that she was in and out with her treatments in like 30 minutes. She just comes in, she get her treatments, eat her chips, drink her juice, and after that, she's going shopping. And I'm thinking, wow, like there's treatments that's only like 30 minutes. Like, how is this possible? Because they told me I'm like 4.5 hours. They say some could last like 8 to 10 hours, depending how, maybe if you're allergic to something or your drip needs to go slower. I'm thinking 30 minutes. Like, what is that treatment about? That's what I'm thinking, right? So they calm me down, my day goes along, and I'm feeling pretty good. I don't have any real side effects other than being extremely tired about 2 days later. Because for me, once the steroids kick in, because you get steroids first, I should have said that, and then I had the gem cisabraxane combo. 2 days later was my crash. I mean, by my first treatment started on a Tuesday, so by Friday, I mean, text me or something, because I wasn't taking any calls. I was just way too tired. But at my second appointment, for my second cycle of treatment, I learned that this lady, and you know what, she kind of looked familiar, because there's different kinds of photographs on the wall of people who have, beaten their type of cancer and whatever clinical trials and things like that on the wall to encourage patients and just different little things. And it turned out that the lady who talked to me, she was one of those patients who was in a clinical trial of, I believe it was HER2 breast cancer negative, whatever it is. I don't want to get into detail because I really don't know. But her clinical trial that she did, she won and she beat it. So when she was telling me about her 30-minute, she was just on a maintenance plan. And I was like, wow, that was that lady. And I actually came home and I was like telling, my family, like, that lady I was talking about from the first treatment, she's on the wall talking about the clinical treatments, one of the very first here in Nevada, and one of the very first with the name brand clinical trial. I'm not gonna say which one, but it's popular and it's out there today, that she was one of the first people and she beat it. So that right there gave me so much more encouragement, so much more hope, even though that wasn't my type of cancer. Well, isn't, but still just hearing her story and knowing that we have the same doctor and how, he could put you on the same course of treatment to get you to where you can be and hopefully be on the same status. That was all that I needed. My nerves were no longer as high as they were the very first time. I got more and more strong, more and more confident as my treatment cycles continued. And on top of that, I was driving myself to treatment, something I didn't think that I would do, but I was determined to drive myself to treatments. I was determined just to do everything I was doing before I was diagnosed. One, to make myself feel like me, and two, just to know that I could do it, so that was a blessing for me. Now let's move on to my very first PET scan. Now, if you are in cancer treatment or know anyone with cancer treatment, PET scans is a scan that looks through your entire body, through your targeted treatment zone, to see if your tumor or whatever they're looking for is grown, is stable, and also to look at other parts of your body to make sure that maybe cancer may or may not have metastasized, and if it has, where the location, things like that. And I'm here to tell you, and I've heard this before in the community, scanxiety is real, because once you have that scan, you have to wait for the radiologist to read it, to send to your oncologist or primary or whoever's going to read it for you and give you the results. It takes about, whenever your next appointment is, but still, you don't want to know if there's, you do, but you don't, if there's any growth or anything like that. You want everything to be stable and to be reduced in size, because, the more it's reduced in size, hopefully the better chances that things stay stable and you don't have to maybe increase dosage for another treatment or go to another treatment or maybe even radiation or something else that maybe you weren't really prepared to do. With my very first and second treatment, I also noticed that my hair was falling out. Now, my oncologist was like, he was looking at me every week and he was like, oh, you still have your hair? I'm like, yeah. He goes, oh, don't be surprised if it starts to come out, starts to crumple and everything else. I was so confident. I was like, no, this is not happening for me. Within 2 days later, I started to notice clumps of my hair just falling out. And I was like, here we go again. Here we go with my anxiety. Now my anxiety is popping back up. And I decided to, you know what? I'm gonna have to get my hair cut. I'm just gonna have to get it cut. And if you didn't know, or maybe you do, there's certain places that will cut your hair if you're a cancer patient for free. And I looked at one of those places, and I went in there, and they were very encouraging. And again, as soon as I walked in there, here go the tears again, because again, it's just the reality, just all the built up emotions of like, wow, I'm in chemo. Now my hair is falling out. Just the stories that you hear or you may have heard or may have read about is starting to happen. So once I got in that chair and the lady took those clippers out, you should already know what I'm gonna say. I started crying because oh my gosh, it's my hair. But at the same time, I realized it's just hair, and hair can and will grow back. But it did take me maybe about a week or two, honestly, since I'm being completely transparent, to get past that, even though hair does grow back once you're off a certain treatment. All right, so let's just jump to my other treatments. I'm still going strong with the Gem-Cis-Abraxane combo. And then maybe about 3 months in, I started noticing some neuropathy or tingling in my hands and my feet, mainly my feet. It started with my whole foot first on the left, and then it went to the right. And then all of a sudden, it's as if, you can't wake your feet up. You feel a little tingling, at least for me. You felt the tingling, and was always like tapping my feet. I can feel myself walking. You can, but you can't. I could, but I couldn't at the same time. It's kind of a weird feeling. But outside of that, I guess I would rather have just like tingling in my feet versus, no nausea, no vomiting. I was able to eat most days, but my eating was slowing down because I had lost so much weight, but it was starting to go up and down. Some things I would crave, like maybe I have like French fries one day and then yogurt for the next 2 days, and then I would have to supplement with protein shakes or something like that. So it was just an up and down process till your body got used to eating, at least for me. And then once when I had something, what did I have? I think I had like a small piece of steak. That was the best little piece of steak I had in a very long time, because I wasn't used to eating anything other than like a baked chicken or a baked French fry or something like that. I didn't eat anything fried. Still don't. Lost all taste for that and don't want to go backwards anyways. My thing for me is no setbacks. I don't want any setbacks. I just want to keep eating the things I know I can eat. Now, every now and then, I will have something sweet when I get a taste for it, like a cookie or something, but that's very short-lived. Now, after the first PET scan in July and my second course of treatment and getting my head shaved, I had also mentioned in previous video that I had an external biliary drain stent placed. I had met with a general surgeon, and he said to me, you know what? You don't need that. We're going to take that drain out and just leave it internal. I was so excited. I was like, you telling me that I don't have to have like a little bag to collect fluid and stuff like that? Because that was so cumbersome for me. And if you all still have that external drainage bag, you know what I'm talking about. Like, it is a hassle because you have to document how much bile and fluid is coming out. You have to watch it. It's just a bunch of things, and you just have to be careful of keeping it clean and infection, stuff like that. Now, I just felt like, really, I can do anything. I didn't have anything hanging out on me. I could wear my clothes again. I'd have to be careful how I was sleeping, how I was driving, or anything like that. So that was a very positive sign. So now I'm going to jump to late November 2021, where I'm having like my second scan outside of the hospital. And so once again, scanxiety is happening. And once I do the scan, it's red. I come back from my oncology appointment just to see the doctor too, and to have actual chemo. Then my oncologist said to me, your tumor has really shrunk in size. The treatment that we've given you is working. And he said, I don't want to say that there is no evidence of disease, just that the DNA of the tumor is no longer showing the way it was. So what was going to happen is I'm going to refer you to either MD Anderson or UCLA for possible surgery of a liver transplant or whatever they can do for you, possibly. And on top of that, we're going to take you off of the Gem-Cis-Abraxane combo and start you on immunotherapy, Keytruda or Kangenti, one of the two, at your next treatment. And I was like stunned. I was like, what? The DNA of the cancer is not showing up. The tumor is reduced in size. It's stable. I'm feeling better. If you are on that particular combination that I mentioned, you know what? Also another side effect I didn't mention, like my nail beds turned completely dark. That is a side effect as well. With a little bit of neuropathy, my nail beds were completely dark. Now I have noticed after he said that about the tumor and the being stable in the DNA, I noticed that they weren't as dark anymore. They were starting to come back to the color that they normally were. And I didn't put two and two together. Of course, that was the last thing in my mind. I just thought, like, I don't know, maybe my body's adjusting to the chemicals that's inside. So apparently what was working, my body was fighting, and my nail beds and, you know, any side effects I was having was starting to hopefully return to normal. At least that's how I felt about it. And then, of course, moving into December is the holidays, and I am feeling overjoyed and blessed because, you know, it's the holidays, like I mentioned, whether it be Thanksgiving, Christmas, Kwanzaa, there's December birthdays and anniversaries in the family. And I was just thinking, like, wow, it just took me back to May, you know, when, again, they tried to make it seem like I wasn't going to make it past, you know, them telling me I had cancer till now. And I was just so overjoyed, so beyond overjoyed. I was like, I made it. Like, I got through the end of the year and many more to come. Okay. So now let's move into January of 2022. So now I'm starting the immunotherapy. And as mentioned, I was on chemo for 4.5 hours start to finish. This therapy, literally, even up until this day, is 45 minutes start to finish. When they told me 45 minutes, I was like, no, I thought someone was pulling a prank on me. But at the same time, I got to thinking about the lady who I told you about early in the video, about how she said she was in there for like 30 minutes. She was on maintenance therapy. And I got to thinking, well, maybe I reached almost her status, kind of, you know. And I was just thinking and just, again, overjoyed and grateful that I have gotten to a point where I can enjoy the status where I am now. And I pray that it continues to be stable and we keep going in the right direction. All right, so all the way forward to April 2022. Now, I did have another scan in there in March of this year, but again, the same thing. Tumor is stable, pretty much the same thing I heard in late November, early December. No changes of anything, which is awesome. But now in April, my oncologist told me that I have been referred to UCLA Medical Center, which is actually closest to me anyways here in Nevada. And they were gonna put me on schedule. Once again, I was stunned. Like, they accepted me to come out for a referral to see how it is or what would happen, to see if they would accept me in their program. I mean, there's still no words for that for me. To this day, there's still no words. Just overjoyed and blessed at the chance and opportunity to meet with specialists in this particular liver, cholangio, or biliary field, who's these surgeons and specialists, this is what they do only. This is their field of study. This is their expertise. Okay, so, but not just that. So I learned that was referred. They said they would see me in May of 2022. And actually, I happened to saw those doctors about a week ago. And I'm excited about that, excited to share that. But not just that, I also met my 1 year of being diagnosed with cholangiocarcinoma. 1 year. I cannot believe how fast the time has gone. I am, again, I know I said it many times in the video, overjoyed, blessed to have reached this point, and pray that I am able to see many, many, many more years to come of being on the other side of this diagnosis. You know, I always said to myself that I want to be and will be a testimony. There's many survivors of all types of cancers. Why can't it be me? Why can't it be you? All right, so with that right there, I'm gonna leave you with some photos of my trip to UCLA Medical Center. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And I'll see you in part 4. Thank you all for watching, and as always, live simply, be grateful.